sun. That's been fun, and it looks like it's going to be with us all week, so that is good. Welcome everybody on Zoom, welcome everybody in here, and welcome everybody on YouTube in the future. So welcome, this is what we call game day. It's the day we get to pour into everybody, and we're going to have a panel coming up here today, and when that happens, I want to make sure the Zoomers know, because we do have Zoomers on people on Zoom, that we're also at the event with Phil, that just raise your hand on there. Grace will let us know that you have a question. So let's move forward. This is the Y4C2Ts from Keller Williams. This is what their first ALC came up with for what is the belief system of Keller Williams, and that is win-win or no deal, integrity, do the right thing. We even have a team called that. Integrity, do the right thing. Customers always come first. Commitment in all things, communication, seek first to understand, creativity, ideas before results, teamwork, together everyone achieves more, trust, starts with honesty, equity, opportunities for all, and success results through people. So anytime you have a dilemma, think about this, how does it fit in? There's your answer. And let's give Tony a round of applause for Play of the Week. Tony was named Play of the Week a couple weeks ago because she had like, I think, 112 list closings in 1 week. That was pretty impressive, Tony. But here's the important part. The takeaway from that is she had a couple eye surgeries, so she kept up her lead gen during that time to create the 5 closings that she had in 1 week.
So she continued to cater to her clients?
Here's Joe's.
By the way, there'll be a joke later that we discussed. So that is why she's Play of the Week. And just so you know, why do we do Play of the Week? We do Play of the Week because there's a lot of amazing people here, and it's important that you know those amazing people, as well as that your clients and your sphere knows who you are. And there's some people who, you know, there's always going to be a black sheep amongst all the great people, and here's one. Just kidding, Colin. So, Olivia won Play of the Week last week because it was really a momentous week, you know, monumental week for her, for the region, for the brokerage. Not just, I don't know how to say this without sounding condescending to people who were there prior. It's not meant to be that, but our region has stepped up the game to a point where we don't all know how to respond yet. So the speed of the leader of the pack, right? The pack goes as fast as the leader, and she kicked it into like 5 more gears, I think, than we're used to. So the rest of the region's kind of like, oh, wow, okay. And then we showed up big time for Phil Jones, so thank you all very much for that. Appreciate that so much. And don't forget, she still has her side gig.
Oh my God. You even tucked her shirt in right.
She's got a French tuck.
Nice.
Again, from my era, the French tuck meant you were 1 more drink away from a lampshade. That meant you were drunk. So, comes with great accessories, the puppies, poop, and the scoop. So, you are the first to see that, meaning she has not seen that. We will show her that on social media. And now back to something that is her scoop, is KW Cares. We have a KW Cares ambassador, and her name is Jana Riley. So we have decided this year with Jana's like, how do we get 100% participation in, you know, just at least $1 coming from closings of everyone here. She looked up one day on their region, and we were really low compared to other regions on gifting. And we're not saying we need to give more and more money, because there's so many events, there's so many things that we've had to give, not had to, but had the opportunity to give to and really felt compelled to. However, Jana's like, you know what? I'm going to start with, you know, our partners down south, our partners just south of here, and then up to here to see what we can do. And then she wants to take it to the region. So this lady is on fire. For those of you who don't know Jana Riley, she's been in the business for quite some time. She has a Jana Riley the Riley home team down in Marshall. That's about a 3.5 hour, Jason 2-hour drive south. And
Mostly west.
her philanthropy is off the charts, and for her to be this hungry for this, I think is a beautiful thing, and I'm excited for that. And speaking of people we're excited about, Toddy, come on up. She just needs one more drink and you'll see why.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm also, have the French touch, I am sober for now.
For those of you who saw our video,
Until tomorrow. Just kidding, that was a joke. Okay, hello, speaking of tomorrow is Red Day, so we're so excited. We had a slight little hiccup in the group, so instead of 4 groups, now there's 3. The people that were supposed to move out of one of the places didn't end up moving out, which actually is kind of a great thing. So they no longer need our help. However, so we've taken the groups and now split them evenly amongst 3 groups, which I think is actually gonna work better because one of the projects, there's a lot to be done. So we are going to be sending an email today with the groups and then hopefully addresses. They're super confidential right now just because there's tenants living in there and CAP agency isn't super comfortable giving the addresses out until tomorrow. So we will be sending a text or whatever in the morning. We'll make sure that you have the information of where to go and what group you're in. We will label the groups and send those out today in the email so you'll know what group you're in and then what address belongs to you. It'll be made clear. And then those of you that are showing up to breakfast tomorrow, you will get your shirts and you will also we'll post the groups on the wall so that everything's made super clear. We are going to assign one person in each group to bring the shirts to the people that ordered one that don't come to breakfast. So if you aren't planning on coming to breakfast and ordered a shirt, you can get it from your group person when you get to the destination of the volunteer locations. There will be a continental breakfast here at KWPR, basically just juice, coffee, and bagels. So kind of light. Again, you can pick up your t-shirts here. We're gonna head over to the locations at 10 a.m. So we'll leave here at 10 a.m. The 3 locations are Lakeville, Burnsville, and Prior Lake. So they're all right here close to us. Please be sure to pack a lunch so that you have something to eat while you're there, some snacks, whatever. We're not doing anything for lunch. There's no breaks. We were told you can break at any time, so we roughly gave them like a 12:30 break time. But if you need to have a snack or whatever in between, I know I do, so just feel free to eat. And then 3:30, you're gonna wrap up at your volunteer location and head over to Charlie's. And we will be having a sponsored happy hour. So when you arrive, there's gonna be some appetizers and some food. Nothing super, super heavy, but it'll be really good. And then we are going to have an open bar there until we hit our cap. So I'm guessing that everybody will be able to have maybe 1 or 2 drinks on them, and then the bar will be open for you to pay for your own. And that goes until roughly 7 o'clock, and Charlie's is open until I think 10, so feel free to stay as long as you'd like. We have a little goofy video to make everything really clear for you.
Hello KWPR, welcome to Red Day. Please arrive for bagels, coffee and juice at 9 o'clock on Thursday. Your Red Day shirts will be available at at 10 o'clock. We will head to our volunteer locations. But don't forget to bring your lunch with you, as we will be enjoying our lunch at our volunteer sites. Upon arrival, we will have volunteer sites for the community. Remember, everything can be at a passenger. Finally, at 3:30, we will head to Charlie's on Friday. Enjoy the sunshine. Thanks KWPR.
So in case it wasn't clear, this is what you're doing.
So are we doing yard work? Do we need to bring rakes and?
We are, yeah, so, thank you for that reminder.
No holes.
There was a little section to sign up, whether you could or couldn't bring, like little gardening tools. So if you did sign up to bring some, we would love it if you could please bring some, rakes, whatever Jamie just said, and some gardening things. It's not the end of the world if you don't, but we would love it if each group did have some of that kind of stuff. So yes, please, if you have gloves, any of that kind of stuff, please bring maybe just a little kit with you or something. That'd be really great. Thank you, Kelly.
What happens here, Raj? I mean, are we all in the office, the leadership?
No, the office.
Those of us who are new?
Yes, the office is closed on Red Day, so we do take Red Day super seriously. We want to re-energize and donate is what Red stands for. So we do close down, the office will be closed. Obviously it's open as usual if you need to come in, however, leadership will not be here. So we do take the day to go and give back. Kelly will be here, so yeah.
If you have emergencies on MLS and stuff, I'll still be here, normal hours, just playing catch up,
Yes,
but I'll physically be here.
It will be available if you have problems.
Yeah. Any other questions on Red Day? No?
We're excited.
Okay, cool. One other thing about Red Day is, as you all know, maybe don't know, Mo Anderson is the one that is, you know, she's Mo. She's the one that's out there really ramping it up for KW Cares and for Red Day, and these are just things that are super important to her. So to encourage us to raise money, she's offering all market centers that raise $888 a free coaching call. And so this would be really, really a great opportunity. I think we did one last year. We won one last year for raising enough money.
It's a spectacle in a great way.
Yeah,
Those who don't know, Mo was a music teacher forever in Oklahoma, decided to get into real estate. Before you know it, I think at the age of 55, she became a CEO of Keller Williams at a time when you just didn't see a lot of female CEOs. And she will tell you like it is with love, no other manner. So it's a treat, an absolute treat. And for her to be this active with this at the age of 87 and to be as sharp as she is, it's really exciting to hold. So let's do this.
yeah, so there's a link to donate. We, again, will include this, we'll post it on Facebook, we'll include it in the email that's gonna go out, and then probably tomorrow we'll text it out as well. So please, if we all just give a little bit, we can receive a big gift of having a call with Mo, so that would be awesome. To backtrack a tiny bit, if you didn't order a Red Day shirt, that's fine. You can either wear one from the past or just wear a red shirt. Or if you don't have any of those, just show up in whatever.
I'm gonna bring in probably 10 or 15 of them, so,
Oh, thank you, Steve.
and people can have them if they want them, so.
Have you done Red Day before?
And sidebar, Keller Williams would not be anywhere close to where we're at today if it wasn't for Bo Anderson.
This is true.
She was huge with Century 21 when Gary interviewed her, and well, one of the first things she did, I won't go very far, but anyway, she went out and closed 5 Keller Williams offices because they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. And 2 of them, and I had a box full of manuals, how to run a Keller Williams office, and I have to confess, I didn't open it up and go through the manuals, but she found 3 of the owners that had the box of material on how to run a Keller Williams office, and they never opened them up. But she closed down 5 offices and turned Keller Williams around. It was awesome what she did for Keller Williams, so it was awesome.
She really is the velvet.
Well,
Yeah.
last year, she, at family reunion, was able to rally to the point where the person that needed they needed a kidney, they found the first donor in the room.
Yeah.
Because of her. So,
Yeah.
thank you, Mo.
Yes, thank you, Mo. Okay, a couple other things that are going on. Mother's Day is this coming Sunday, so happy Mother's Day. We're gonna have mimosas for moms on Friday, probably out in the lobby like we've been doing lately. So please pop in, and you don't have to be a mom, we're just celebrating moms, so come in and have a mimosa. And then we are doing Supper Club this month at Southern Social, that's on May 15th, at 6 p.m. Southern Social is so good. And then, this is a big deal. We have a save the date for our electronic recycling event. As you know, we like to do plug and play events for our agents. So this one is geared a little bit more away from the kids this time. We do a lot that involve kids, which is super awesome. But this time we want to make sure that we're catering to maybe a little bit different audience. So we're going to be doing an electronic recycling event on June 12th. And then there's also gonna be a food truck there. So more information will come out about this early next week. And it'll just be the same thing that we've been doing, the plug and play, so you might pay a fee. And then you'll get a marketing plan, you just show up, invite your clients, and then it looks like this event that you put on. So it's gonna be a really great event. And then just a little bit of a heads up of what's coming. The recycle event's happening June 12th, $1,000 giveaway is happening August 6th, trunk or treat is scheduled for October 25th, and then Santa Sid is December 4th, so that's gonna be a really big deal. So thanks Ryan for the idea, and thanks Grace for figuring that situation out.
So, as we know.
Yeah.
Thank you, Patty.
You're welcome, and I remember to stop when I had it. First time
You
ever.
did good.
Thank
No,
you.
yeah. Way to go, hey, everyone. It's on work on a calendar, and there's a reason we do at least 4 of these client-facing events. Again, one of the words is integrity, and with a 36 touch plan, we say, hey, they say to do at least 4 events during the year to reach out to your clients, then we want to host them and have an easy button for you. So therefore, Jason, why is that important? Because Jason is the smart plan leader. And
So we talk
36
about
touch plan.
36 touch plan, if you've ever heard me talk about 36 touch plan, the thing I emphasize is plan more than 36 touch. You will get the touches if you plan. And we just want to make sure that you have an idea of what's coming up, so you can include that in your newsletters, your smart plans, and your communications with your clients. It's a fantastic call. Remember, events aren't about who attend. They're about talking to your clients, both at the event, if it's possible, if they show up, and before and after, to make sure that they're a part of that, engaging your clients in a meaningful way. And these are all ways for you to have an event at no expense to yourself. Fantastic. Big win. So we're excited with that. With that in mind, we got my good friend Karina coming up to say words about how you can learn things that are important.
Yes, yes. So, I have 2 classes that are coming up. First one on May 21st, right after the team meeting. We're gonna be talking about MCA orientation. So this is going to be all things MCA related, talks about how do you update your direct deposit, how do you update your credit card, what happens if you change your address, who do you need to notify, what happens with your commission, how does that process work? What is transmittal? You'll hear that right around the end of the month, beginning of the month, and you're gonna be like, what is that? So tons of different information that all is about my job that affects you guys, because I'm the one that pays you guys and I wanna pay you fast. So there's things that you'll want to learn there that you'll know, okay, I need to keep these in mind so that I can get paid as soon as possible. And then speaking of getting paid, all things commission is going to be happening on Wednesday, 5/28, so that's the following week, and that's gonna be 9:45 in the morning to 10:45, and literally it's going to be all about that commission tab, how to do it, the whole process from start to finish, some tips and tricks on, how if you have a bonus piece, or if you have an inside referral or an outside referral, or any of those kind of things. And we can also do live practice. So if you have one that you need to do, let's do it. We can bring it up, we can pull it up, and we can walk through it and get you ready to get paid. So, and these are going to be monthly. I'm going to do them each month. They may not necessarily be the full hours, depending on the questions that come up, but they will be every month. They will be on Zoom, but they will not be recorded. So, thanks.
Great, thank you.
Big time.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Brian Sunder.
Sunder.
Okay, I'm not sure how well you're gonna be able to see that, but I wanna talk today about I don't think I have before, our NAF bridge loan, all right? We're in the season, it's probably been 3 years, it's probably gonna be the next 3 years, where you cannot get a contingent offer through. You can show 20, 30 homes and maybe get lucky and they'll accept a contingent offer, but that's not the goal, is to show 30 houses. All right, so ways to get around that, how do you make a non-contingent offer? All right, we've got our recast program, where if they can afford the old house, current house, and the new house, put minimum down payment on the new house. And then when you do sell their house, 100 grand cash, whatever they get out of that, they can apply onto that new mortgage, and we recast it down to the lower principal balance, lower payment. That's $300 cost. It's great if the customer can afford both mortgages, all right? Not a lot of our, I should say, we do have customers who can do that, but a lot don't. Then we have our NAF cash program, where they can make a cash offer on the new house. We're not counting the mortgage on their old house. Once they buy it, then you sell their current home, and they buy that house back from NAF cash, all right? Another way to make a non-contingent offer, and you get the benefits of a cash offer as well. Today I want to talk about our bridge loan, where we are refinancing their current house mortgage, getting additional cash out to put down on the new house. Let's say you get 20% out to put down on the new house, all right? We don't count the payment because there is no payment for 12 months. Now, you're gonna sell the house a lot quicker than that, but in theory, they've got 12 months of no payments. Interest is accruing, but there's no payments. I'm gonna kind of just read some bullet points on this. I don't know if you can read that up there, but the older the current house you must have it listed for sale, all right? Which that's kind of the opposite. Who wants to put a mortgage on a house that's for sale because it's not gonna last very long? The mortgage is not. There is a 2% loan origination fee, and that's the only fee. No title, no appraisal, no underwriting, no processing. Everything comes out of that, all right? Then we coordinate that loan with the new purchase. So you're taking out the bridge loan a week before the new purchase, all right? You're making a non-contingent offer because there's not gonna be any mortgage on their current house, nothing that's gonna count against them. The maximum loan to value is 80% on that bridge loan, and that's based on your CMA and an automated evaluation. All right, so they do have to have equity in the home. 250 grand minimum, and the max is a Freddie Fannie conventional loan limit, 806,000. Max debt ratio is 50%. Well, if we're not counting the mortgage, really the new house payment, they're gonna be under 50%, so it's not gonna be an issue. The minimum FICO score goes down to 700, all right, which a lot of programs won't allow to go down that low. So then finally, when you do sell their house, they're into the new house, they've gotten the down payment. When you do sell, they're gonna have additional net equity, and they can use our recast program to apply it for $300 and lower the principal balance. All right, so we're just another tool for your buyers to get their dream home when making a contingent offer just isn't gonna cut it. So a lot of numbers there, but any questions, you know where I'm at. Yes. Wait, Tom.
I won.
Yeah.
The interest, are they making monthly payments on that accrued interest, so it's settled at the
It does accrue
sale?
interest, but it's for 12 months, no payments.
Okay, it's just
Yeah,
settled
if
at
it took that long to
closing.
sell, yes, interest will accrue, and,
So there were, if I understood correctly, there were two different loans you were talking about. One's they had a bridge loan, and what was the other name of the other one?
we've got NAF cash, again, just to buy,
NAV cash.
our cash buyer program.
Okay.
And otherwise, it was just a recast program where they can buy without selling, because they can afford, the debt ratio works without selling, so they can carry both mortgages.
Okay.
That is just the cheapest and great way to go, but that you gotta be able to keep the debt ratio in line with two mortgages.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Don't know how to bridge this to the next topic. Oh, Jason, what's this? Wait, what's going on? I thought we just
Well, you know, we did invite everybody to a big event with our good friend Bill Jones. And I think that event went really well. We have another upcoming event here in the Market Center with Jake Lewis, who's OP of multiple market centers here in the Twin Cities. And he's gonna be here on Thursday, which is, and the reason I'm up here talking about this is in place of your tech class. So I'm really excited about it because I love hearing Jake speak. He's a fantastic speaker. Anytime you've had the opportunity to hear from him, he's always delivered great value. And he's gonna be here in our Market Center just for us, talking from 10 to 1. So great opportunity to come and learn some stuff. He's been talking about mindset, which there's a lot of times we're kind of like, mindset. It's the underpinning of everything we do. If our mind is right, everything else falls into place. And so having that great opportunity, if you're not familiar with it, he does a regular podcast now. He's got newsletters that come out. And this is what he's really focused on. And it's really blossoming for him. So I'm excited to have you guys come. I want to see you here. I will be here. Jake will be here. I'll make some jokes at his expense. I do that every time we're in a leadership meeting, so he'll really enjoy that. And you will probably enjoy that too, but great opportunity. I'd love to see you guys here for that. And with that, we're moving forward.
He tried to lure you in. Oh. Oh, first of all, before we get into this, so anyone here trying to tell me or text me something that someone wants to have said in the team meeting, or if something's going on and I need to know, or my fly's down or something, you're texting me, I don't know where my phone went. Just before the meeting, it just disappeared.
See if you find it, text him.
Yes. Yes,
So
so,
call your phone.
so just a heads, well, not right now, but just a heads up. So if you're trying to say, hey, do this, or that, I do not. Please text Jason. So let's transition to, we're about to have our panel up here, but let's just a reminder, I don't know if you heard, but Phil Jones was here. There he is, the autograph guy right there. It's really fun. So this kind of thing is a big deal to me, and I hope it's a big deal to you. We had talked last month about making your conversations count, so we talked about this in one of the team meetings. And then if you remember, those of you who were there were able to see this. This looks familiar. Well, we talked about it also last month in a team meeting. Again, the next decade isn't about winning the marketing game, it's winning the conversation. Let's have more success per conversation. And here are some people who really want to win the conversation for the rest of this decade. Let's bring them up. Megan, Scotty, Tricia, Pam, Sarah. We did open it up to males as well, however. All right, this is entertaining on its own. All right, good. Well, let's get her started, all right? Well, Megan.
Yes.
Let's start with you.
Okay.
Please, who are you, and how many years in the biz, and why did you choose to attend the event?
Yes, I'm Megan Oren, 6th year in real estate. And I chose because I feel like with communication, music, business, personal life, it's something we should always be trying to kind of evolve with. And it's just so important in our industry that any extra tips I can pick up on it, I'm all about it.
Nice. Well, thank you. Yeah.
I'm Pam Rizak. I just had my 8th anniversary with my license. And I wanted to go to the event. I'll confess that I had already listened to the audio book, the book that's specific to real estate that he did with a couple of other people, right? Had done that long before this even came about.
Thank you for confessing to that.
Yeah, well, I know, I was just like.
Don't you just feel the weight off your shoulders?
Because I had some knowledge already of some of this stuff. But you get so much more when you're in person and hearing it, right? I had all this knowledge that I'd gotten from listening, but I wasn't doing anything with it.
Oh, sure. Does that sound familiar? I think that's true with a lot of us, right? Yeah. Sarah?
I agree about like the energy when you're there. I'm Sarah Anderson. I will be 10 years this summer.
Ooh.
And in real estate. And I, you know, being on the ALC, we got the Exactly What to Say book. We've done a lot of talking with using the game. My team had done the game a little bit. I just am always looking for ways to be better. My business is pretty much built on relationships. I think that's the case for many of us. And so if there was anything I could take away listening to him that would help me strengthen those relationships, I wanted to be there.
Well said. Scotty, Ringley.
Scotty, I've been licensed 15 years now. And I often say that sales and being a realtor is like 80% psychology. I mean, I show some homes and stuff, but it's really psychology. And I also say that everybody wants to be seen and heard. And so I love this because it was gonna give me better tools in communicating to speak with more confidence, more clarity. And just have those, I hate to say scripts, but that is what it is, to have that in the back of your mind. So when you're presented with a situation, we're in high stakes conversation situations all the time in real estate, also in our personal life. And if your sphere is most of your business, you've got to be prepared for those at all times. So I was excited to go.
Nice. And you've been practicing these for a while.
I have. I got a good story to tell later too.
Uh-oh, that's good.
I
That's
Phil
good.
Jonesed my husband. It's a
Oh, nice. That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Remember, this is a PG crowd on
And it's on
YouTube. Trisha Rue.
I am Trisha Rood. I just had my 10-year anniversary in real estate last month. And I heard Phil Jones first at Mega Agent Camp last August. And have been hooked ever since. I had 3 of his books and I've read them multiple times. Communication for me, obviously, it goes through our entire lives, all our facets, personal, professional, all of it. I have a gift to gab, so I'm always curious as to how I can make that better and use it to help others and deepen those relationships, like Sarah said. Because we are in a relationship business, so much of what he does has to do with caring for the person you're talking to and making them feel heard and understood, and so that's why I chose to go.
Right on. Well, it's interesting for both those of us that have the gift for gab and or those of us that are high D and you just want to get the appointment done and move on. He really helps unlock how to slow down at first to gather what is needed so that you have more ability to speed up and get it done. So that's really cool. Speaking of that, Megan, do you have some ahas or something that's really pressing more than others?
Yeah, so there were a lot. I tried to narrow it down. I felt like when he was talking about empathy and listening, that was huge for me. So for him, he said empathy is to care about what the people you care about care about. So to care about what the people you care about care about. And I thought that was so good. Just like a slightly different spin of, what you usually hear about it. For listening, he said the most underrated skill is the ability to listen and ask questions. So I related this to myself because I feel like I'm usually a pretty empathetic person, like in general, but I also realized that a lot of times when I'm trying to empathize or relate to people, I try to bring in personal examples to relate to them. And I think I'm gonna cut back on that a little bit because he was saying we should be replacing the word I with the word you. So like, not always talking about ourselves, and I'm not saying I always do, but even those personal examples, it'd be better if I could direct the conversation more back to them directly. So that kind of hit home for me.
And you said you got a list there.
Yeah.
We'll go through.
More stuff, yep.
And then as we got from there, after everyone's had a chance to speak, if there's more that you have that you say, these folks gotta hear this.
Yeah.
And I need to repeat it for myself, then please do. So Pam. Well, can I start with a proud papa moment? I don't know, I mean, not papa.
A what?
Proud papa moment.
Oh.
So we're in the workshop, and a couple of weeks ago, we had shared about, someone said, hey, what's the market like, or how's business? That's a listing opportunity right there, or a buying opportunity. And so they said, instead of saying, what are you thinking about, he had shared, that's interesting. That's what you say in response. Wow, it's interesting. And then you pause. And Phil was going around the room and talking, okay, what do you say when people say, what's the market like out there, this and that? people were saying, great answers. Then he comes up to Pam, he's probably had 5 more minutes of him wanting to hear those answers. And Pam said, well, I used to say those kinds of things, but now I say, that's interesting. So we were like, geez,
Chris and looked at Jamie and Jamie was like this.
I was so excited. It was even more exciting when I heard Colin doing the same script in the bathroom to the guy who asked him. That's true. So this is about the ladies here now, Colin, so we'll tell us. Sorry, what goes in the bathroom stays in the bathroom.
Well, that is definitely one that I will continue to use.
Yeah.
I think it's, you know, in the last couple of weeks that I've been using it, it's brought out some very meaningful real estate conversations without directly answering how the market is. And I will tell you, just this past weekend, so Saturday, I had a conversation with somebody, former colleague when I worked for social services, Scott County, many years ago. Haven't seen her since then, so years. She calls me out of the blue. I'm thinking about buying a house. How's the market? What's going on with it? So we're on the phone, so I'm not even in her face, so she can't see, you know. And I use that. Hey, it's really interesting. And she's like, oh, she goes, I just don't know if I'm ready or not. And so I just continued doing the questions, you know. I don't know if I can afford a house. Well, are you paying rent? Yes. So what makes you think that you can't make a house payment? And just kept drawing answers out of her. Eventually found out that she had already gone and gotten pre-approved with a credit union, and they approved her for $160,000. Can't get much for that, right? So then I said, hey, would you be open-minded to checking with another lender that I can refer you to? She said, no, yeah, I wouldn't mind that. Gave her this other person's information, they connected. That lender called me this morning and said, I don't know where that credit union got those numbers from, but she's qualified for at least double that.
Wow.
So, yeah, so using that was one of the other phrases. Would you be
Started from that, then I went to open-minded. Nice work.
So it works, but you know,
Yes, again, yeah!
there's so much that, you know, we all have our notes here, right? I think we just have, for me, have to take it in little chunks and work little chunks at a time so you can get used to doing this little bit of, you know, for a while, become ingrained, and then start some new techniques and just so you can build it all up, because holy crap, you could listen to this guy for a week. And it would just be,
Yeah, it's a
it
lot.
was great.
It is a lot. And I should preface that those of you, have you found my phone? Oh, shoot. I thought you were looking. Should preface, he has magic words. Ultimately, they are introductory to questions to help people go from maybe 50-50 hearing you to 90-10 hearing you and absorbing what you have to say, and you get more information out of it. So that's the adjustment that she's sharing and these folks are sharing. And Sarah, what is a big aha for you?
Again, lots of ahas. I was telling Dawn by the end of the day, like my brain was kind of shutting down, way too much information. So it was awesome. But one of my biggest takeaways was that you build rapport in the past. So asking questions, not necessarily about where they're planning to move to and what is their timeline and the future things that I think as realtors, we naturally want to go there. And how often does it not turn out that way? So focusing on building that relationship by asking, you know, why did they choose the home they live in and how long have they lived there, and just those types of questions. And I used that on a listing appointment on Saturday, and it was really interesting. This is a woman that I knew over 20 years ago when I was teaching. Haven't marketed to her, haven't seen her since my last day of teaching, and she reached out to me through Facebook. We set this appointment, and by the end, she was giving me a hug, and it was like we had, you know, seen each other yesterday. Yeah. So it was awesome. It was fun to put some of this to use too.
That is great, yeah, past, yeah, we tend to go to present and future right away. And when you ask them a future question, they don't really know the answer. So now they're uncomfortable, right? So going right to the past, Phil speaks of, they can answer those questions. I can answer, now they're walking with you as opposed to pushing against you, so.
And I
That's a
want
great
to
one.
just reiterate what Megan said about the word I looked, because I remembered writing that down, and he said the least influential word in the English language is I.
Yes.
And
Right.
I think we do think that that helps build a connection,
Yeah.
and it's funny, since hearing that, I've noticed how many times people do that and how quickly it does kind of turn me away instead of drawing me closer.
That was really good.
Yeah, I'm gonna be very cognizant of that going forward.
You did a great job, Sarah. Thank you, great insight, thank you. Scott T.
Well, just to piggyback, there is one that I want to talk about, but just to piggyback, the greatest example he gave of that, of like anything that shows the past becomes a safer place for people to play. He used a real life example, like how many guys come home and say, hey, what do you want for dinner? That's a very difficult question. She's been with the kids all day, she's really torn down, like she can't think like that. So he just started reframing it. Well, what did you have for lunch today? And then their subconscious is like, oh, I know that one. I know the answer to that one. I had Chinese, so he knows not to suggest Chinese. Well, how hungry are you? I'm famished. Okay. So just asking questions that they know the answers to helps you get to certainty for the future. Well, if I chose the food or chose two options, would that help you? Would that be beneficial to you? Is there anything you're opposed to? I see you're in your PJs. Would it be better if we just order in? Like, he's asking questions she knows the answer to, and then he can narrow it down and make a decision. So I love that, because that's a real life, we'll use it every day, not just in business. And for me, when I learn the personal application, then my brain shows how to use it in the professional situation. But the one that I really like, the story you told is, when's the last time you've seen a movie that's brought you to tears? Like, these are actors performing a script. And we have some kind of negative connotations. I think KW even doesn't call it, they don't call it scripts, they call it conversations, but we all know it's a script, right? And some of the most iconic movie moments is when the actor goes off script and improvise. But to go off script, what has to exist to begin with? A script. And the actor had to understand the intent of the writer, the producer, the director enough that he understood the objective and he was gonna try something different that might work better than that. You can't do that unless you have your scripts down. So sprinkle in some of those magic words and create curious questions, and that's the chef's kiss.
And on top of that, the professionals practice.
Yes.
That was his other big thing.
Yeah.
You're not going to get this right away, but professionals practice until they get it right. And to achieve better, not best. And that's our one. I tend to have perfectionistic qualities, tendencies. And so to hear, like, to continue to strive for better, but not best, you'll end up achieving a lot more than if you're always shooting for best. So that was another.
different is better than better.
Huh?
He said different is better than better. So like, everybody can kind of be in the same, like he gave himself as an example, like however old he is, white male, but I charge more, so I'm different. So that makes him stand out, you know?
Right.
And people pay it.
And he said better beats best if you give it enough time. So if you just continue to keep trying to get better, better beats best if you continue to give it time. But going off of the building in the past, one of my big ahas was, and using it at an open house when someone comes in, because this was in the morning session and the coffee hour, and he talked about how, a lot of times we have our sheets, we want to sign in, they're giving us bogus emails, bogus phone numbers. I'm sure you've seen, there's been lots of memes going around lately about the person that calls Wendy. Have any of you seen that one that was buzzing yesterday? They call Wendy, and they actually say, Wendy's. They're like, is Wendy there? And they're like, no, this is the Wendy's restaurant. And it was an agent that got the number at an open house. Because a lot of times they're not giving us correct information. So he talked about, again, that building rapport in the past. So when they walk in the door, you say to them, so where did you travel from to be here today?
And they're like, I know that one.
And they're like, oh, I know the answer to that. I just came from, the neighborhood. Or they might tell you, well, we're going to be relocating. You can get a ton of information by asking them questions.
Maybe they came from Wendy's.
Yeah, they could have come from Wendy's. That's maybe who gave that phone number. And then to be a tour guide in the best way at the open house. We said you want to put them on a scavenger hunt, point out some of the top 3 things about the house. Well, you need to make sure you go and check out and name 3 or 4 different things in the house you want them to check out. And then when they come back, and when you tell them your name, you say, my name is Tricia. And then, okay, so hey, as you're going through the house, if you need anything, just shout, hey, Tricia. Because you've now said your name twice. So you're going to be more memorable as they're going through the house if they need anything. And then the exit conversation, again, you're building on that rapport from the past. You've sent them on their little scavenger hunt to look for the 3 features of the house. You then can say, what did you like about that incredible closet in the primary bedroom? What did you enjoy most about this house? So again, going back to the past, because they know the answer, they're like, oh, I know what the answer to that is, and it's just a better way to start those conversations. And then when's the last time, if you get to like wanting to know if they need a CMA, instead of just saying, would you like a mark of your house, when is the last time somebody gave you the correct value or an estimated value of your home? Starting again to like build that rapport and build on it instead of just our coined questions that we typically ask. So it was that one, and then also having questions in an email. That was also from the coffee hour too. So making your email so they want to open them. So your subject line should create curiosity. So instead of saying like free market analysis, because you're giving them a market or offering that, you're going to ask a question. When's the last time you learned the value of your home? That's your subject line. So creating curiosity in your subject line of an email as well. So going beyond just conversations, but also how to use some of this in our written communication too. I thought was super powerful.
Yeah, these could be the subjects of your emails, right here. It's that. That's great, thank you so much. Anything else that, Megan, that you had in there that you're like, oh, God, yeah?
A couple other ones.
Hey,
I
Megan, can you hold that up?
I'm hoping this is gonna be able to read this.
No, look at that thing.
This is like my condensed version actually for today.
Oh,
I
nice.
had more, yeah. Wow. So one thing I liked was they aren't saying no to us, they are saying no to it right now. A no only means a no right now. And I had a listing appointment recently where this like totally came into play. Talked to this Facebook friend of mine, I don't know him really well, but we've been talking on and off for a couple years. He now lives with his mom, he's basically her caretaker, so it's her home. And she does wanna sell it, but it's hard for her because the location he wants to move to is further from her appointments and things like that, so she is kind of dealing with all of that, but before I got to the appointment, he's like, she saw this house that she really likes, and now she's nervous because it went under contract so quick, so we want you to come out like ASAP. I'm like, all right, I'll be out there. Then when I get there, she had looked more into her investment accounts, and they had gone down, so things changed on her end because she was gonna use some of that for the purchase. So, it was kind of a shift as to what I thought it was going to be, getting to the appointment, but either way, it's like, yeah, they're saying no to it right now, but I was building that rapport. He said that she liked me, after we talked afterwards, and I think it'll be a yes eventually, just, it's the no for right now. The other thing was she loved to talk about like her kids and her grandkids, so I listened to all that for a really long time, which was fine. But, you can tell that's just what she wanted to talk about, and she like needed that. So anyway, asking questions and listening definitely played a part of that one.
She wanted a relationship.
Yeah. Showed me all the pictures of them and yeah. So they didn't sign with me yet because she just isn't ready yet, but of course the follow-up and keeping in touch is when we'll make it happen eventually.
I'll just add, because this was one of mine that I was gonna say, and you really set it up. Believe people for what they tell you, but only believe what they told you when they told you. Sometimes new information gets presented in the world, and you need to be in proximity to them
Right.
when the information changes and the need presents itself. Be easy, convenient, be in place. Well, that's good.
And I think on top of you learning all that is because you were listening, and both Scotty and I at one point, he took the letters from the word listen, had them on the board, and he rearranged them, and when you rearrange them, they turn into the word silent.
And we were like,
And we were like, oh shit, for me, it was like mind blowing. Again, I said I have that gift of gab, so learning sometimes just to be silent, and if you led with curiosity, they will just continue to talk. So instead of me having, verbally vomiting on them, they're verbally vomiting on you, and then you're learning all kinds of information when you lead with curiosity and remain silent. It's hard.
Pam, is there anything else that jumped off your notes? First of all, look at all the notes and how prepared these ladies are to share with you all today. So I just want to make sure that that is well noted, as Jason started to note about her notes. Pam?
Most people. So he talked about when you're with a customer or client and they're asking you questions, what they should do. They don't know what to do. Should I do this? Should I do that? Instead of giving them an absolute or telling them what I would do, taking the I out of it and saying, most people would do this, or most people would do that. Because nobody wants to be an outcast. They want to be like most people. And that just kind of struck a chord with me. Instead of, giving them an absolute or telling them what I would do.
Sure. Nice. That helps close. That helps close the opportunity. Sarah?
One of the things I think that I've struggled with a little bit, and we've talked about it as a team, he kind of got on people for using auto plans or smart plans. And
I was like, so I need to cancel all that?
no, and I've landed in a different place, and it'd be interesting to hear people's thoughts on that at some point. But one of the things he said that did really strike me is that when we make it easy for us, we make it harder for them. We make it easy for us by sending these mass emails. We're making it harder for them to feel that personal connection and respond. And that really struck me. I don't think that it means everyone should go cancel their smart plans. I do think it means that especially for your core group of people, that you focus on fostering those personal relationships. So that's kind of where, there's just no way that I can have these personal conversations with everybody in my database on a regular basis. That's not realistic for me, probably not realistic for most people sitting here.
Well, I think it goes to him saying care for the hundreds.
Right.
So you can't give the same amount of care,
You can set
obviously, if you
10s,
have,
care for the 10s.
and that'll turn into the hundreds, which will then turn into the thousands, but
Yep.
to give that direct care and relationship. But yeah, I think it just has to be together, so you can't have everything automated, you have to have that relationship piece in place as well. That's kind of how I ended up taking that.
Sarah, I was thinking the same thing you were thinking when I heard him say that, because it was like, how are you gonna personally touch all these people? But I did hear what he said, you kind of focus on your core people, that's where you dive into. But then I think what I also heard is not necessarily canceling all your stuff, but how are you phrasing the subject line?
Subject lines.
That you have to get really creative with those so they still feel like it's you and there's a personal touch or something. I don't know the master, the words of that. Maybe we need to get a copywriter in here or something, but I think that's what he was trying to say, at least that's what I took from it. How we do that, I don't know.
A little hyperbole.
I'm gonna, that as the tech guy is involved in
I think
plans.
every one of us that was sitting there when he said that would look at Jason.
He was definitely saying, that to make it more personal, as you guys have already mentioned, putting question words, not making it easy for yourself in the newsletter or whatever it is you send. But I also want to point out that if you've been to his Instagram page or his link tree, you can sign up for his weekly newsletter. So don't kid yourself. He's sending it.
Yeah.
Colin?
Yeah, I think on that topic, just piggybacking off that, the comment that he concluded with on that piece was figure out how to make it easy for them to respond.
Yes.
Right, and he used an example of a text message. And it was the same thing. Ask a question in the past that they know the answer to. Make it easy for them to respond.
Because you get ghosted, if you're like, so what's new in your life? Well, that is a loaded,
Yeah.
that's too
Right.
much to put in a
Exactly.
text. Instead be like, where did you eat on Mother's Day?
Yep.
What'd you do last weekend? How the kids do in soccer?
Yep.
Because I know that one.
And the other example was reach out, whatever it was, whatever time frame you said, after a birthday or after an event. It's in the past, so you can ask questions about it. So.
And what he's talking about is what's called rejection-free openings. So this helps you just at least get the conversation started. This helps. That's a warm one to invite them, and they're quicker to respond.
I was going along the lines with the smart plans in the happy birthday. not all people's birthdays are happy. Some people have maybe sad things that happen on their birthday, maybe it's a reminder of a loss that they had or something. But, so instead of phrasing it, hope you have a great birthday, blah, 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 maybe changing it to something along the lines of, a little birdie told me that you turned another year older, what are your goals? I can't remember my exact notes that I took, but the conversation that he had around that to say, what are your goals are you looking to accomplish this year? How can I help you with that? Just the way that it was phrased was so much more impactful than just a simple, hey, happy birthday, hope you have another great year.
And it was 9 days later.
Yes, it was 9 days later, it wasn't exactly on the birthday, it was 8 days later.
I do have it in my notes. Should I read it?
Yes.
He said, rumor has it you're another year older. It said, as every year passes, we get wiser. With wisdom comes new choices. So if in the next 300 days, if you're considering a change or an investment, and you could benefit from, then I started losing track, but the wisdom of your realtor, let's talk. But I think that's so good. So good.
Much more powerful and just felt like the person cared more about what was happening in my life, my goals that I wanted to accomplish.
So sorry, Bryce, for saying happy birthday on Monday. I'll call you on Tuesday.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
So what happens to us that have been 38 for like 20 or so years?
How was your 15th, 38th?
How certain are you?
I have a question about the cards.
Yeah.
So, some of us have used those cards, and one of the things I learned is that he had them in a specific order, and mine are no longer in that order. Okay.
I got them in
Did
the
you
order
know
you want.
When somebody asked about that, his answer was, go buy new cards.
And then number them, right?
Yes.
Scotty, I'm dying to hear your example.
Okay, so
Let's go,
like
Scotty,
one of
yeah.
the questions you, kind of prompted us with is
Yes.
have you used it yet in conversation? And my 26th wedding anniversary was that day, and Kurt picked me up from the event, and we went over to Hazelwood, and I Phil Jonesed him. We were having a great time, and I was like,
That's a happy
What is-
anniversary.
well, I wanna make sure I get this right. So I was like, what, in the spirit of always improving our marriage, what's the one thing we could do? I used a Jay Papasan on him, but which by doing will make our marriage even better in different areas. And he came up with something, and I'll leave that private because he's not here to talk about it. But so I started saying, well, how important is that to you? And my husband's not a huge talker. He lives at 30,000 feet. He will live a lot longer than me because he lives at 30,000 feet. So it was like pulling answers out of him. But I had the questions. I knew to keep going 5, 6, 7, 8 deep. Just out of curiosity, what does that look like to you on a daily basis? Could it be possible that you could intently focus on that one thing? Help me understand what obstacles might prevent us from doing that daily. Would it help how would you feel if that happened every day? And like at the end of it, he got to something that I've known for 26 years, but if I said it to him, it would be probably an attack or a fight. But he had self-realization because I asked the right questions that got him to be like, wow, our marriage could be even better if I just asked this little tweak.
Yes.
Because he talked about the golfer example, you gotta narrow your spread down. Like if you could just get 1 or 2 or 3 degrees in, that's huge. And so any relationship, any marriage, just try to change the 1 or 2 or 3 degrees. And that can change massively at the end, the whole context.
That's well said. He had said, we try to change a topic 180 degrees right away with our clients and their spouses. However, as he goes through these, it's like, okay, there's 3%, now we're up to 9%, now we're up to, you're not manipulating anybody, you're maximizing on what tools you have as a human being to better communicate.
And you're not being an advice monster.
Yeah.
When you talked about that, you talked about being an advice monster, where we just want to give the advice, right? Like you said, he came to that self-realization. I did the same thing to my daughter with roommate issues. We all know she's 20, living with 3 girls. I mean, there's a lot of issues that come up, and in the past I've said, well, you should, and I tell her what she should do. And we had a conversation this weekend while she was home, and I did the questioning, and the conversation went on a lot longer. She didn't end up angry, like, Mom, you know, like I was sticking up for them or any of the other things. And she came around to like her own answers and her own realization, and I was just sitting there going, holy work. Wow, that was crazy. Because, yeah, and it was pretty funny. But because every word we say is either hurting or helping.
Yeah.
That was his other big one. Every word we say is either hurting or helping, so.
If it's neutral, it's a waste. That's
Yeah.
what he said. Yeah.
Nice. Just want to be respectful of everyone's time. We are a little bit past, so if panelists, you need to leave, anyone here, anyone, feel free to go. I just think there might be just a little bit more. Jason?
Mega Agent Mastermind's at 12:30.
Yeah.
And I think that this is gonna be a great continued conversation for those of you who can attend that and want to be part of that. I think that's a great place for us to continue this, because I think
Yes.
there's so much that you guys have just touched on.
Yeah.
That really, that's a fantastic conversation. It might proceed for the rest of the afternoon if you're interested in whatever capacity.
I totally agree. I totally agree. What we're gonna do moving forward is I'm gonna pick a time every day where I'm just gonna come in here and whoever wants to practice can practice. Those of you who don't know, you pull out a card and it says, okay, you're at an open house. And then there's a situation where it says, prices are too high. Okay, how are you gonna get through that? Should I go through this?
Let's do it in the.
I think you should talk about this.
Oh, well, thank you. All right, here's what we'll do. So anyone who wants to hear, we can run right through the whole deck if you want and hear how that sounds. We're gonna have a say of the week, just like we have play of the week. Just to help remind you, because the analogy is if I need to drive the ball the other way and I'm not doing good, I put a ball on a tee and I put it there and I do it 100 or 200 times before I move on to the next. So the more reps you have with being able to say, this is called a simple swap. So do you have an agent? Well, I'm gonna say yes, just leave me alone. Or whatever they're gonna say. Versus, who is your realtor? What does this say? This says, well, if they have a realtor, they'll say who it is. Wendy, something. And it also says that, you should have one. Like, you don't have one by now? Right? You're assuming that. So that's the say of the week. And we do have a drawing. Well, how about we do this first? Let's give a round of applause for our panel. We know we have so much more too. Let's do a drawing.
Jamie?
Yes.
Before we do that, can I relay a shout out from the Facebook? I was on Facebook last night or the night before, and it was on one of the city sites, Lakeville, Brenthal, and it was just like the what's going on, and somebody posed a question, I'm looking to sell my house, can anybody recommend a realtor? And she got just bombarded, and I like 250 answers. I would say, without exaggeration, 5 out of 10 were names off of our roster.
Woo!
I saw
that.
That says
Most people
a
say,
million words.
you know, you've got a lot of great agents on this list. I thought that was really nice that agents were saying that, not like, oh, don't use a diner or whatever. It was like, you got a lot of great names on this list, but call me if I can help. And that's the culture we have here.
That was, it almost brought me to tears. It was very nice.
Proud papa, proud mama.
When we do have a giveaway, it is exactly what the state book.
Between 1 and 35.
14.
Hannah Hunter.
Hannah Hunter. Hunter for the kill. And this is the thank you to the Ron Gardner autographed Twins hat.
How about the tumbler?
Let's do 2 gifts. We also have a tumbler. Wow. Isn't that amazing? This is from One Day Painting. And we've got number 3.
Can't read that. Siobhan Anderson.
And Siobhan, all right. So all of you who showed up in person, you don't get rewarded for that outside of being in here with us and enjoying this together. Thank you all so much. Again, Mega Agent, then we have Solo Agent Alliance. Let's have some fun.
Help me, help me. Muscle to stay on that chair.